They lied to you. They told you to work hard, save a little, retire at 65, and called it freedom. But if 4 decades of labor ends in a pension too small to survive on, what do you really call that? You were not born to serve until your final breath. You were not born to watch life slip past while you trade your soul for a salary. The world does not reward the obedient. It rewards the man who sees the trap and walks out of it. And that man starts here. Listen carefully, because if you miss this message, you may labor to your grave and still die with nothing. You believe you are free. You believe that hard work will pay off. You believe that after 40 years of loyalty, of saving, of following the rules, you will receive your reward. But I say this without apology. If 4 decades of labor ends in dependency, then who truly owned your life? I have witnessed it too many times. Men who surrendered their entire youth to a company, only to reach 65 with a tired body, a trembling hand, and frightened eyes scanning the calendar because their money is running out. They obeyed every rule. They stayed silent. They did exactly what they were told. They worked, they waited, and when the waiting finally ended, there was nothing waiting for them. Who owns the life of a man who trades it away 1 paycheck at a time, only to die uncertain, unfree, and forgotten? You must understand this. Slavery has changed its appearance, but it has never disappeared. The chains are no longer metal. They are built from routine, from debt, from low expectations, from beliefs never examined. You were told the system works if you follow it. What you were never told is that the system was never built to make you wealthy. It was built to make you useful to someone else's fortune. I will not soften these words. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Because until you see the truth of your condition, you will never walk free. You will smile politely while your years dissolve and call it responsibility. You will praise the men who hold you and call it employment. You will wait for a retirement that barely covers your rent and call it security. This is not a tragedy. This is a choice. And because it is a choice, it can be unchosen if you are bold enough to face it. Now I will give you the laws that the wealthy learned while everyone else was sleeping. I will tell you exactly how Carnegie, Rockefeller, Ford, and Lincoln rose from nothing, not by accident, not by privilege, but by obedience to truth and alignment with law. You will learn why effort alone will never set you free, why retirement is the reward of the compliant, not the free, how schools were built to shape employees, not owners, why your job is not a plan, it is a placeholder, how the wealthy obey invisible laws that struggling men ignore, how your daily patterns form the prison you call your life, why waiting is the enemy and movement is the cure, and how the man who refuses to serve eventually becomes the one who commands. Work alone will never make you free. You have been taught to believe in labor. You were told that if you simply clock in, stay late, keep your head down, you will one day rise. But the truth is this: work alone will never make you free. You can sell your strength to another man's dream for 40 years and still die without a name. I do not speak against work. I speak against misplaced loyalty. The man who works without thought is no better than a machine. The man who works without purpose is no freer than a mule. And the man who works without ownership is still a servant, no matter how large the paycheck appears. Understand the difference between labor and wealth. Labor is the effort of the body. Wealth is the command of thought. Money obeys thought, not time. A man can spend his entire life in toil and be overtaken by the thinker who dared to build something. One man digs the hole, the other sells the shovel. Who gets rich? The struggling man always points to effort. He says, I worked hard, I showed up every day. But he does not understand that the reward never goes to the man who merely shows up. It goes to the one who builds leverage, who through deliberate thought creates something that works without him. Andrew Carnegie worked once and profited indefinitely. He did not swing hammers in a steel mill forever. He designed an empire. He built systems of processes, men, and materials that multiplied while he slept. His ideas earned more than any single day of physical labor ever could. That is the secret the worker never learns, that the mind is the only true factory of fortune. From youth, you were taught to associate hours with income, to believe your value is measured by how much time you surrender. But time is a poor man's currency. It is the one thing you can never recover. And every hour you trade for someone else's vision, you are selling the only thing that is truly yours. Men were trained to work, not to think. They were conditioned to obey, not to build, and now they wonder why they labor for a lifetime and have nothing to show. It is not injustice, it is programming, and it must be broken. Ownership of thought, ownership of systems, ownership of purpose, that is what brings freedom. Until you stop working blindly and start working with definiteness, you will always trade your life for crumbs. The retirement lie is a servant's reward. You were told to wait. Work while you are young. Sacrifice today so you can live tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you are exhausted, nearly broke, and your freedom is a memory you never actually lived. Retirement is the illusion they gave workers so they would not revolt. You are not saving for freedom. You are saving to delay collapse. The entire structure was built on the assumption that you would comply long enough to become too weak to question it. Just enough security to prevent you from running. Just enough hope to stop you from asking. Just enough fear to keep you working. The man who waits until 65 to begin living was never truly alive. True wealth is not saved. It is not rationed. It is built through value, the result of thought, decision, and the courage to step away from the assembly line. Henry Ford did not save his way to millions. He did not work for someone else until retirement. He created something that multiplied without him. He built systems. He saw opportunity where others only saw jobs. His wealth worked while he slept. Most men never even reach retirement. They die before escaping the wheel, and those few who arrive find a body that is worn, a wallet that is thin, and a soul that has forgotten what it felt like to move with purpose. Schools create obedient workers, not wealthy men. You were trained, not educated, conditioned, not liberated. From the first day you entered a classroom, they were not preparing you to own your life. They were preparing you to serve someone else's. What did they teach you? Sit down, be quiet, memorize, repeat, obey, raise your hand for permission, stay in line, follow instructions. Now ask yourself, how many of those lessons appear in the life of the wealthy? None, because no man ever became free by obeying everyone else's commands. Thomas Edison was removed from school. His teachers called him unteachable. They told his mother he would never amount to anything. And what did he do? He brought light to the entire world, not because of a classroom, because of belief, because of relentless vision. The same system that rejected Edison now teaches his name while punishing the very spirit he embodied. Schools do not teach wealth. They do not teach imagination. They teach order, compliance, and dependency. They teach you to memorize someone else's script and never write your own. If you want to become wealthy, you must unlearn the thinking that kept you poor. You must question the path. You must ask, why was I never taught to build income? Why was I trained to fear mistakes more than mediocrity? Why were the laws of wealth, faith, desire, definite purpose, organized planning left out of every lesson? Because obedient workers do not need wealth. They only need enough to survive and keep showing up. A job is a tool, not a destiny. A job is not freedom. A job is not wealth. A job is a placeholder for the man who has not yet taken command of his own life. The world taught you to find employment, not purpose. It taught you to chase paychecks, not plaz. It taught you to settle for survival rather than building a life that earns abundance. A job may solve your immediate need, but it cannot fulfill your ultimate calling. If you have no definite chief aim, a job becomes a slow coffin. You wake, you punch in, you labor, you leave, and somewhere along the way you forget you are meant for more. Use your job the way free men use tools, not as a master, but as a means, as leverage, as the funding for your freedom, not the replacement of it. Edwin Barnes did not despise work. He worked as a clerk, but he had one vision burning in his soul: to become a business partner to Thomas Edison. He used the job to get into the room. Once inside, he proved himself and left the job behind forever. The tragedy of the modern man is not that he works hard. It is that he works hard without direction, without purpose, without ownership. The wealthy obey spiritual laws. While others chase money, the wealthy obey laws most men never discover, laws that are spiritual before they are material. You cannot rise until you first rise in mind. You cannot earn until you believe you are worthy. You cannot command until you align with the laws that govern riches. Money comes from alignment, thought aligned with belief, belief aligned with words, words aligned with action, action aligned with plan. Rockefeller tithed on principle. He believed money was a stewardship and structured his entire empire on internal discipline. Carnegie surrounded himself with minds greater than his own, obeying the mastermind principle. Edison declared his inventions before they existed because he walked with the certainty of a man who already knew the outcome. Faith is not religion. It is power. It is holding your vision with such intensity that the world must eventually comply. Autosuggestion is not foolish repetition. It is mental programming. The subconscious must be given clear instructions. What you say to yourself with deep emotion becomes command, and the subconscious executes what it receives. These laws, faith, definiteness, repetition, organized planning, are spiritual in nature before they ever produce a single dollar. This is why the laboring man may outwork the wealthy man and still remain poor. One works with muscle, the other commands with mind. Your habits are your chains or your freedom. Slavery in this age is not enforced by violence. It is enforced by routine, by familiar patterns, by rhythms gone wrong. The modern man is not bound by a master. He is bound by a cycle, and that cycle, unless deliberately broken, will carry him to the grave with nothing but exhaustion and obedience to show. What time do you rise? What enters your mind before the world speaks to you? Do you begin with instruction to yourself? Or do you immediately follow the world's instructions? The poor man wakes without purpose, consumes without producing, reacts without thinking, and repeats the same empty day for decades. This is the habit system that produces financial bondage. It does not feel oppressive, and that is precisely why it is so dangerous. The wealthy man rises early. He issues orders rather than waits for them. He plans his day the night before. He speaks his aims aloud. He measures his progress daily. He demands rhythm from himself before demanding anything from others. Your daily rhythm is producing your results. You must audit it. Rise before the world speaks. Declare your chief aim aloud. Read your daily plan. Speak your affirmations with genuine emotion. At midday, review your progress. In the evening, measure what was accomplished, record what was learned, and speak your aim again before sleep. Repeat this without exception. This structure alone will begin to reprogram the subconscious mind, and the subconscious is the architect of all results. He who waits serves the man who did not. There is a law more costly than ignorance. The man who waits becomes the laborer for the one who moved. Wealth does not come to the brilliant. It does not come to the good-hearted. It does not come to those who are still preparing. It finds its way to the man who stepped into the uncertainty, made a decision under pressure, and claimed his ground while others were still calculating the risk. Abraham Lincoln did not sit in endless deliberation during the darkest hours of his leadership. He moved. He acted before the outcome was certain. He did not wait for clarity. He created it through decision. Most men do not fail because they moved in the wrong direction. They fail because they never moved at all. And waiting is not neutral. Every day you delay, another man acts, another man builds, another man claims the ground you forfeited. Patience without movement is paralysis, and paralysis is death in slow motion. The man who refuses to serve becomes the one who commands. Until you transform your identity, no change in habit or income will hold. The world does not respond to the man who performs. It obeys the man who commands. And no man commands until he first refuses to serve, not service to others, but servitude to fear, to routine, to the chains inside his own thinking. Self-command is the line between labor and leadership. The man who masters himself no longer obeys the world. The world begins to adjust to him. Write your definite chief aim now, not tomorrow. Decide who you are, what you demand from life, and how you intend to build it. Make it bold, clear, and written. Build daily command. Trust repetition over motivation. Every morning, read your aim aloud. Every evening, reinforce your belief in your identity. Shape your subconscious into the man who directs by shaping your words every single day. Build income streams. A man dependent on a single source is still in service. Create value. Use your mind, not only your time. Let your labor fund your liberation, but do not stop at labor. Build ownership. You were not born to merely work. You were born to build. You were not born to receive instructions. You were born to give them. You were not born to comply. You were born to create. Refuse to live as though you are powerless. Refuse to wake without aim. Refuse to trade your hours for crumbs. Refuse to think small, act slow, and move weak. Refuse to reach your final years without having built something the world cannot erase. You are not here to serve fear. You are not here to obey mediocrity. You are here to, this is your beginning. This is your freedom. This is your new law.